Hello, sek4110. I just got through watching one of your videos, the one about the Book of Enoch. I've checked out several of your videos, probably for about a year or so, and I usually enjoy your videos. But I wanted to make this little video kind of as a more of a small talk about some of the things you were saying about the Book of Enoch. Uh, some of the points that you bring up, I think they're valid. I think it's very true that there are discrepancies, even as to who may have wrote the Book of Enoch, and you kind of tend to use those discrepancies as some form of proof that we should not validify the Book of Enoch somehow, because we have in question who may have wrote the book, some discrepancies about time frames, when people were born, when they died, and they don't coincide with somewhere else in the Bible. So, and I feel that you're kind of using those types of things as in to discredit the Book of Enoch. And to that, I just wanted to say, if we were going to use that venue to judge whether or not we were going to call a book, even a book that's in the Bible, a valid work of God or not, I mean, we would probably be in a lot of trouble. I mean, there's a lot of places that I've heard other people talk about Paul, to where he says a lot of things that's direct uh, uh, violation, I'll call it, against what Christ Himself said. One comes to mind where they were saying in one part of the Bible, when we're talking about when Paul was on the road to Damascus, and when he had that tussle with the angel, or he started hearing the voice of the Lord. That in one version, so in the Bible, it says that the guys around him heard the voice, and then in the same Bible, there's another version where it says that those guys around him did not hear the voice. I mean, we could say, well, hell, that's a big discrepancy, and so therefore, is something's not right. Should we not give Paul validity because there are some discrepancies? And naturally, the short answer is, no, we shouldn't take away validity from Paul's works. That being said, I don't think we should put Paul's works above anybody else's. And I'm going to say the same thing about Enoch. It seems like I remember in the Bible, the Word of God, saying that God was so pleased with Enoch's preachings that he wasn't going to suffer him death, and I don't know exactly the wording of it, but it basically it says that God was pleased with what he was preaching, with what he had taught. So now we're left here with a Bible that does not have the Book of Enoch in it, and the only Book of Enoch that we have has not been canonized in what we consider to be the Word of God, the King James Version. But on one hand, we've got God letting us know in the Word of God that what the guy knew, Enoch, was pretty straight up cool. That God thought it was righteous, and then this is the only work we have of Enoch. So I find it funny that God would go so far as to let us know in the Word of God that the Book of Enoch, what he taught. Not the Book of Enoch, but Enoch himself, what he taught was pretty cool. And then us not even have a venue to it, not even have a copy. So I think that's kind of should tell us something. I think the Book of Enoch, just because it has a few discrepancies in there, you have to also remember that, man, there's discrepancies in other places in the book, in the Holy Bible. And I don't necessarily think that we should strip out everything that is in the Book of Enoch for the few things that may have been mistranslated, misquoted, as far as that, it might not even been Enoch wrote it. But hey, look at a lot of the books of the Bible. Just 1 second. So my point is it really a fair thing to try to take away from the Book of Enoch simply because of some discrepancies? As what I was saying before the phone and ring, that You can look at the author, pull up the author of the books of the Bible on Google, and there's really no sure way to know who wrote the books of the Bible. It's basically opinions of scholars, people who study them, and they look at pens. For instance, if Luke was a physician, as he was a medical guy, if that book had a lot of medical terms used as idioms and so forth, then they would pretty much agree, well, this is a writing of Luke. But I mean, the old original scriptures were copied and recopied, and the old copies had deteriorated and reprinted, and it was all printed by hand. And there's really no true way of knowing what man penned the Bible. And the point that I'm trying to make here is it's really not important what hand penned it. Because when it comes down to it, man really does not write the Bible. He does not write the Word of God. Man is only a tool. Man's only printing. And printing what the voice from within is telling him. That voice from within is the Spirit of God. So it doesn't really matter if Enoch's hand wrote that book. It doesn't really matter if Noah or other people had a hand in writing that book. The fact of the matter is that book is here with us today, and it is shedding a lot of light as well as some unlight, as all books do. But books can cause confusion just as well as they can cause enlightenment. But I think it's where the heart is. It's what the heart is seeking. If you're seeking to be enlightened in truth, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. If you're seeking to be confused, I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think we all end up with exactly what we look for in this life. I think God's made that so. So I just wanted to say to you, and I used the format of the video in person to say it better than I could type it. As in this instance, in your videos, I don't think it a fair assessment of your analogy of the book of Enoch. And I think the things that you use to discredit the book of Enoch, I think if you use those, you could use those same terms to really strip away and tear apart the whole Bible, book from book. And I don't think we'd gain anything from doing that. And I think the book of Enoch probably deserves about the same amount of validity as any other work. And I think there are a lot of other books that we could consider the Word of God that weren't canonized by the 1611 version of who King James and so forth and the church were deciding for us who and what was the Word of God. I think there are a lot of other books out there, and I think there's a lot of good stuff in them. I think there's a lot of the Spirit of God is in a lot of them. So I just wanted to say my 2 cents to you. I don't even know if you'll read this video or not, or see this video or not, but I'm going to send you a link to it. And if you have something to say back, feel free. You can either write or make another video back to me in your own words, however you like. But I did feel that I wanted to say something to you along those lines. And against not to insult you, like I said, I do check out your videos, have for a while, and I usually get a lot out of them. And I probably got something out of the book of Enoch. It just wasn't what I was hoping. So that being said, not an attack on you. I just wanted to say a few words concerning that. Okay, sis. Appreciate your videos and your time, and I appreciate your labors. Thank you.